everyone from returning legends to undisputed GOATs produced some of their best ever work in each and every one of the programs to come. However, all it took was a sickening bump, ill-advised spot, or some real-life drama to completely overshadow the rest of a rather stellar war. So I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 amazing wrestling feuds overshadowed by one moment. Number 10, Edge's comeback feud with old rival Randy is overshadowed by one ill-advised spot. After a thunderous Royal Rumble return, the rated R superstar was chucked straight into a rivalry with Randy Orton heading into WrestleMania 36, and both men looked like they had a point to prove early on. But then the world shut down and the two opted to unleash a dull, never-ending walk and brawl inside of the Performance Center. Making matters worse, that awful grudge match also contained a moment where Edge was choked out by a weight cable. The fact this particular spot showed up on WWE TV not long after Vice's Dark Side of the Ring series focused on the Chris Benoit tragedy, and how the wrestler ultimately committed suicide with that same item, was a particularly bad look. And that insensitive spot is unfortunately now one of the first things that springs to mind when thinking about a program that started out so promisingly. Number 9, the Cell Bump is remembered more than the fact the Mankind feud resurrected Taker's career. After digging holes and taking souls since 1990, the whole Undertaker gimmick was starting to feel a little stale, before a menace by the name of Mick Foley arrived in WWE back in 1996. This legendary program had it all: dingy boiler room brawls, balmy buried alive showdowns, and it unquestionably helped both put Foley on the WWE map and breathe new life into the Phenom character. However, all of that outstanding work was ultimately overshadowed by a couple of horrendous bumps on the night of June 28, 1998. One that saw Mrs. Foley's baby boy get sent right down to hell from atop the cell twice. That will forever be the moment people instantly recall when discussing their awesome mid-90s battles. Number 8, Steve Austin's neck break overshadows a great feud with Owen Hart. The weeks leading up to their eventual Intercontinental Championship fight were stuffed full of interesting developments. Austin claimed he would lay a smacker on Owen's ass if he failed to walk out with the belt. The toughest SOB in the company lifted tag gold with Dude Love by besting Hart and the British Bulldog, and Owen targeted his challenger during a tag title defense on the Red Show. They were well and truly delivering the goods during that eventual heated pay-per-view battle as well, right up until Owen accidentally spiked Austin on his head with a piledriver and broke his neck. From that moment on, the intense feud forever became synonymous with a horrendous injury that would completely change one of the biggest stars in the industry's life and lead to his early retirement in 2003. Number 7, Codys' neck tattoo pulls attention away from his MJF showdown. While on the subject of neck stuff overshadowing riveting programs, that divisive nightmare Cody Rhodes stamped on his before the Stars Revolution 2020 grudge bout with Maxwell Jacob Friedman swiftly became a rather patriotic distraction. Cody had been forced to jump through the salt of the earth's many different hoops in order to get his revenge on the bloke who'd cost him the chance to ever challenge for the AEW World Championship again. Lashes had been dished out, Wardlows had been conquered inside of steel cages. It all led to the moment when MJF would finally come face to face with his former mentor inside of the squared circle in Chicago. And then the AEW EVP debuted a red, white and blue Nightmare Family neck tattoo. Just like that, much of the attention was pulled away from the bitter enemies' captivating feud heading into the evening, as many were too busy posting their outrage on Twitter to give a damn about what should have been the must-see blow-off to an otherwise near-perfect all-elite feud. Number 6, MJF's Fun Event no-show overshadows his Wardlow rivalry. This time around, it was the Salt of the Earth who was responsible for creating an infamous moment that is now spoken about more than anything else that happened during the closing stretch of his slow burn story with his one-time bodyguard. After spending years as MJF's largely silent but deadly muscle, Wardlow would eventually step out of his boss's shadow after helping CM Punk conquer Maxwell at Revolution 2022. And just like Cody before him, the big lad was also forced to battle through a number of MJF stipulations to get himself out of his deal with the devil. But before Wardlow could finally powerbomb the life out of his tormentor at Double or Nothing and earn the freedom that would complete this enthralling tale, Friedman decided to no-show a fan event in real life. Doubts over whether or not the future AEW World Champion would even appear on the show became the key talking point heading into what should have been a satisfying end to an awesome program. And a few nights removed from Wardlow's spoiled moment in the spotlight, Maxwell only went and melted the internet again with his very own pipe bomb. Number 5, CM Punk's pipe pipe bomb overshadows the rest of his war against WWE. CM Punk's cross-legged rant against WWE felt like someone had just blasted a decade's worth of much-needed electricity into the sports entertainment landscape. However, the unfortunate side effect of this particular pipe bomb being dropped in the lead up to a wonderful Money in the Bank WWE Championship main event against John Cena is the fact that the rest of the other great work that went down before that pay-per-view is often forgotten when looking back on Punk's real breakout moment. The megaphone boasting "do I have everyone's attention now" eventual follow-up to that initial outburst, and his equally mesmerizing contract negotiation with his creepy old boss in the middle of the squared circle that same night felt just as unpredictable and exciting as the moment Punk's skinny fat ass hit the ramp a few weeks earlier. And those fascinating but often overlooked promo sequels to the explosive first hit doubtlessly helped make his attempts to walk out of the company with Vince McMahon's top prize a truly unmissable event. Number 4, the Deadman Surreal chuckle springs to mind when discussing Taker and Lesnar's wars. This latest version of the Lesnar vs Taker feud eventually saw the two hard-hitting titans beat the hell out of each other in one of the last genuinely pulsating WWE pull-apart brawls, push each other to their limits in a SummerSlam blockbuster, and go to bloody war once again inside of Hell in a Cell. However, the first thing most people are quick to remember when thinking back to that final chunk of Lesnar-Taker violence didn't involve either man being thumped in the face or tombstoned on wood. Instead, the surreal moment that overshadowed all of that chaos was the visual of Old Man Calloway cackling like a lunatic in response to his barbaric rival laughing in his face midway through their main event clash at the biggest party of the summer. Just like that, one of the most vicious WWE feuds of the last 10 years simply became known as the program that boasted the funny Undertaker meme. Number 3, hench Dean Ambroses' return is what most people remember about Rollins vs Ziggler. In the wake of Seth Rollins leaving WrestleMania 34 as Intercontinental Champion, the increasingly popular babyface regularly defended the strap on television before shockingly losing it to Dolph Ziggler in June. A fantastic 30-minute Iron Man match at Extreme Rules, ignoring an odd crowd who felt like chanting along with the clock on the night, went down shortly after, with Rollins finally getting his hands back on his white and gold baby at SummerSlam. Despite all that though, arguably the most memorable thing to tumble out of this feud didn't actually involve either of the rivals. It was the hotly anticipated comeback of a significantly beefier Dean Ambrose that still remains the thing folks remember the most about Rollins and Ziggler's summer series, with fans more interested in whether or not the eventual John Moxley would suddenly stab his Shield pal in the back than the outcome of another brilliant Seth-Dolph IC title clash. Number 2, Give Me What I Want is remembered more than Batista and Triple H's epic last chapter. Even if you weren't the biggest fan of the typical never-ending Triple H epic that eventually occurred at WrestleMania 35, there's no denying that much of the build towards Batista's last ever bout inside of a WWE ring was pretty exhilarating stuff. From the awesome tease of Big Dave wanting a piece of Levesque on SmackDown in October 2018, to the moment the Animal shockingly opted to get his Evolution pal's attention by coldly attacking Ric Flair on his birthday. This final part of the game and Batista's tale had folks hooked. And then in the space of just a few minutes on March 11, 2019, they had those same fans unintentionally in stitches. After the Hollywood superstar completely forgot a specific thing he was supposed to utter during his attempts to make Triple H agree to a bout at the Show of Shows, Batista opted to bizarrely repeat 5 infamous words, getting more intense and frustrated with each flustered exclamation, and overshadow what was otherwise a rather underrated final war for the former world champion. Number 1, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley's intense rivalry doesn't exactly explode on pay-per-view. A year and a half on from the moment the one-time Dean Ambrose bulldozed his way into the land of all elite and right through Kenny Omega in Las Vegas, the cleaner shockingly screwed Jon Moxley out of his precious AEW World Championship belt. But the purveyor of violence would finally be gifted his rematch after being jumped and battered by Omega and his good goons in a rare exploding barbed wire death match. Unsurprisingly, the majority of the match was phenomenal. Things like the startling visual of Mox peeling his bloodied up body off a freshly broken barbed wire table are barely ever mentioned when talking about what should have been a triumphant explosion of a contest though. Instead, it's the all-round embarrassing sparkler display that brought the otherwise intoxicating feud to a disappointing end as the clock ticked down to 0 that lives on in the memory. And that's our list. Know of any other amazing wrestling feuds overshadowed by one moment? Well, let us know all about them in the comments section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like like this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very much for checking out this awesome video today. Hopefully we'll see you again very soon, but in the meantime, just be good to yourself. Bye bye!